All right, thank you, Dee Dee. As Dee Dee had mentioned, my name is Scott Schmollis. I am the academic program manager with the OELE, or the Office of Educator Licensure and Effectiveness. And I'm going to give a top level presentation on staff setup. Throughout the presentation, you'll see links to various resources that any of you all can access if you would need more detailed information after the presentation. Like all the other presenters, my contact information will be provided at the end, and I'm happy to assist you all in any questions that you all may have. All right, so to start, oops, sorry. So to start, the audiences, or those who would be this presentation would be most beneficial to, are those who at the school or the district level who are responsible for setting up staff in Infinite Campus. The information also will be very beneficial to those who are interested in finding out additional information about an individual educator in our state. As I've mentioned, here are some resources that y'all can use that'll be beneficial. The first ones are pertaining to the data standards that are relevant for staff setup. The data standard for census staff information will assist in how to properly set up and provide data for staff. And then the data standard for census covers how to defining a household and an address. It's important to know that KDE does not use this information, but if users would like to maintain it, that's up to you all. And we need to point out that all individuals in campus must belong to a household, as this serves as the source for Kentucky student data for the state. There's also some other campus knowledge-based articles. The first is the staff locator, which will outline how to search for individuals and to prevent duplicates, and how to add new employees. For data accuracy, it's important that we all understand how to use the staff locator, which this presentation will outline, just in the sense that we do not want to duplicate any individuals who may already be in the system for, as mentioned, data accuracy. The next is the data district employment link. This will show how to set up, how to add data to the district employment tab. This tab has become even much more important, as this is now where the EPSB ID for all staff will be entered. We ask that all new staff please include the EPSB ID, and those who you believe may not have their EPSB ID linked into into Infinite Campus, please go in and add that number, as KD will now be matching data based upon this ID as opposed to social security number in the past. And the last is the district assignment article. This provides info on employment and how to assign course sections to teachers. So this staff data is used for a variety of reasons. We use this data primarily for state and federal reporting, and some of these reports here now will be outlined. The first is LEAD, or the local educator assignment data. This will be moving into our new KEX system. KDE now has a new licensure system, has moved away from the old EPSB system. For those who are unaware, it is called the Kentucky Educator Certification System, or KEX for short. LEAD will be moving over into that system beginning in phase 2, which you'll start to see later, which will start to be used next year. KDE will provide a data extract weekly between LEAD for Infinite Campus and this new KEX system. And as mentioned before, certifications will be matched on the EPSB ID and not the social security number. So because we're now matching off of the APSB ID, we ask that you all will go back and ensure that all new staff will have that entered on the district employment tab, and that any that you believe may not have it entered to go back in and enter. I'm perfectly fine with assisting if you all are unaware what the EPSB for a staff member may be. You can also find that by looking up an individual in your KEX system. And if you do not have a KEX system, we ask too that you possibly could set one up so that you could find some of this information. The next is the school profile report. This provides information on credentialed teachers in health and PE, CTE, world language, and the visual and performing arts. School report card, which is our large KDE data report that we do each year. It provides annual comprehensive data on state, district, and the school level. The teacher equity report, which is a newer report that can be run out of Infinite Campus. It's a report that allows users to review student demographic data that are taught by the primary teacher. To find this by searching by an educator's EPSB ID. This report is very useful, especially around the time when we ask for schools or districts to fill out the Kentucky Equitable Access to Effective Educators Survey, which provides the ineffective data for school report card. The next is the teacher turnover report, which is run out of Infinite Campus, and this will define all the metrics for that. The next one after that is the Infinite Campus Employment Verification Report, which can assist districts with verifying previous employment in another Kentucky school district. One I'd really like to highlight again now is this Munis EPSB upload, which identifies staff missing their EPSB ID number from that district employment tab. So we ask that you please go in and run this report, especially with the new KEX system being online, to see which staff you may not which staff within your school and district that may not have their EPSB ID entered in Infinite Campus. And then finally, the Kentucky longitudinal data system. All right, so now how to set up staff. To use it, you'll use the pathway for the staff, for the census to the staff locator. You always want to use the staff locator to add new staff members in Infinite Campus to prevent creation of duplicate records. The required information is the last name, first name, and gender. However, you can add as much information as you want. There is some caution though, as the more information that you add, the more difficult it may be able to find an individual. Do not create a new record if the staff member was a former student in Infinite Campus. You add a local staff number, district employment, and assignment record to the existing record. If a student number is different than the state ID, then save it in the comments. However, do not delete the student number until it's ensured that the final transcript has been released to Parchment. It's important to point out that duplicate records can impact, as we mentioned, the various state and federal reporting data, and also the Infinite Campus employment verification data. Right, so here's an example of what Staff Locator looks like. So if a person is returned by the Staff Locator search, the district and/or state database already contains that record for that person. If you hover over the results, that will provide some additional information, which may allow you to see if that's the individual that you mean to select. A person may have multiple identities for a variety of reasons. One of those may be it is a duplicate record. And so we ask that if you do find some duplicate record to notify KDE so that we can handle that situation. And it's also possible too that multiple results The next slide shows about how to create new district staff. Before adding a new staff person, search for all the different names that may individual has so that we do not create a duplicate record, such as the maiden name or other variations of the last name of the individual. You can also search for other variations of the first name, and then search with and without punctuation on names. An example being O'Donnell, just to ensure that if they were entered without that apostrophe, you may be able to find that individual. Katie recommends that you do not use punctuations when adding individuals in Infinite Campus. If a matching person is not returned, this indicates that he or she does not exist currently in the district or the state. The new staff member can be added by clicking the Create New District Staff button in in the staff locator search. New teachers or students can be added with the Social Security number, the EPSB ID, and the date of birth. Students that already are currently in the system do not need to create a new record. And then teachers with new districts just need a new identity and not a new record. And if they are changing schools, just add that new school to their new assignment. Here, it will show the new staff employment information. It's important that what's required to enter is that we need to enter the start date, select Save, and it creates the new employment record. For EPSB certified staff, you need to enter the EPSB ID here where it says license number. The license number can be blank for non-certified staff, but certified staff, we ask that you do add the EPSB ID for new staff employment, and you do not need the leading zeros. It's important to enter this EPSB ID because we mentioned above because the new KEX system will be matching with Infinite Kansas data off of this EPSB ID as opposed to the Social Security number. And to ensure all accuracy of reporting, it's really beneficial to make sure that we have the correct numbers in this license number field. Next, we will show how to do a district assignment. The path is the census to people to district assignment. So you want to select a school where the staff member is working. You want to the type designates the staff primary position. So you can either choose teacher, administrator, counselor, librarian, or speech therapist for certified staff. You choose support or other for all classified staff. Other activates alternative type to designate an additional role. Use the same type on all active assignments at the same school. Check boxes determine what names are available in certain drop lists and access to certain areas of Infinite Campus. And this is required before the tool becomes functional. To define the required fields, the start date is the date the assignment began at the school, and the end date is the date that the assignment ended at the school. Another required field is the student voice. However, this data is no longer collected, but it is a required field to answer. All right, next we will do the district employment tab. As mentioned before, this tab is now where we will enter the EPSBA ID, where the license number is, as opposed in the past where it was done on the credentials tab. To get to the district employment tab, we will use the pathway of the census, staff, district employment. The start date is a required field. As mentioned previously, this is the date that the staff assignment began. Where it is circled with the license number, I know I keep pointing it out, but it's really important, is that you all now will enter the EPSB ID here for all certified staff or those who have been certified by EPSB. And as mentioned before, this ensures accuracy of reporting. You do not need to, again, to enter an ID for non-certified staff here or classified staff, and you do not need the leading zeros. Section F of the Census Staff Information Data Standard will provide more detail on guidelines in terms of how to use the District Employment tab. And individuals EP, and as mentioned before, individuals EPID can be found using the search function for those that users that have a KEX login or account. We'd like to point out some placeholder staff. So in the so those who are using placeholders in Infinite Campus for that license number, here is a placeholder staff records are used for vacancies or college professors. Each placeholder staff record should include a unique EPS ID from this list, and a social security number is not needed for any of these staff records. So for those who are creating a district employment but need a placeholder, please use these unique EPSB IDs and these first and last names when entering that into Infinite Campus. The EPSB ID number is required in the Munis upload file and is used for teacher data matching for state and federal reporting. The Munis EPSB upload report located under the Kentucky State Reporting / KDE reports and Infinite Campus includes a validation report that can be generated to identify staff members missing their EPSB ID numbers on the district employment tab. So we ask after this presentation or before the beginning of the next school year that you all will run this report and see which individuals whom within your district or school currently do not have the CPS ID. As mentioned numerous times throughout the report, because we do match off this number for our data accuracy, we ask that you please enter it for current staff and new staff. The teacher turnover identifies staff assigned to courses who have a credentialed record as a teacher, and the school profile course information is matched to specialized license. Those specialized areas, as we said before, were the visual and performing arts, world languages, health and PE, and CTE. And finally, LEAD, or the local educator assignment data, which will be moving over to the new KEX system. We'll again use the EPSB ID and we'll no longer be matching off a social security number. So for employee changes, when an employee changes assignments, the district assignment record should be end dated. So that's you use the date that is the end of that assignment. So for example, if Miss Smith taught at ABC Elementary last year, but is an assistant principal this year at XYZ Elementary, her ABC Elementary assignment as a teacher should be end dated, and she will count as a teacher that year in teacher turnover. A new district assignment record should be added as an administrator, and since she did not leave the district employment record does not need to be changed. If an employee leaves the district employment and all district assignment records should be end dated. And if a prior employee returns, create a new district employment and assignment record. It's important to remind those listeners that if a teacher remains in the district, such as a school change, you just need to change the assignment. So again, here is my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me if you all have any questions about staff assignment or any of these reports or the new KEX system. I'd like to thank you all for your time and enjoy the rest of the presentation.
And Scott, I've got a few questions for you. I think some of them have been answered in the Go Soapbox app. So that's the benefit of being online in the Go Soapbox. You can actually see the answers. Sure. But one of them is, what report can we run to make sure all of our teachers have an EPSB ID?
Yeah. So you could run to make sure that they all have one.
Yes.
The best way to do that would be to ensure that you have a KEX login. From there, you can search individuals and find their EPSB ID. All certified staff have an EPSB ID. Classified staff, we do not need to worry about adding that into Infinite Campus. Another way would be easily to reach out to me, and I can look up the individual to find that ID. There will be a reporting function that's made in KEX that will allow us to run off of to allow us to run to see all EPSB IDs off of names and staff, or in our certified staff. But to start, I would run that EPS Munis ID report to see all the individuals in your district who or school who do not have one currently. And if you would need to find that information, we'd be happy to work with you to get that EPS
I think you're right, Scott. That is really the first step. Run the Infinite Campus report, and you can run that whether you use Munis or not. We had that question come in, and it doesn't matter because that's an Infinite Campus report. It just alerts you that you've got teachers in the system that don't have EPSB ID number in there. So there is we will post the QRC to that right in one of these questions. So if you're in Go Soapbox, look at the answers on those, and you'll be able to see what the pathway is to get that and everything. So I think that covers it today. I want to thank you, Scott. We're staying consistent with a few minutes over on each one. So,
well, I think I'll say the last thing is, as we get ready to do school report card data, I think it's important for all districts and schools to run that report to make sure that the EPSB ID is entered into Infinite Campus, so that when we do match and you all do verify the data that you will see in school report card, that we can ensure its accuracy.